Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
Valentine's Day. You share a birthday with Valentine's Day. And this is a topic that I feel extremely passionate about. The topic is in kids.
Yeah.
When is it appropriate or okay to maybe start showing some type of affection or, I don't know, physical attraction, whatever it might be, towards the same sex, opposite sex? For me, Valentine's Day started really early. I remember at 2 years old.
It's almost like a brag about that. It's like a puff of the chest.
Well, it's not really, because the scenario is not really flattering. Second grade, I remember everybody had those little candy hearts, be mine, I love you, whatnot. And to be honest, at the end of the day, I didn't really come home with a lot of Valentines. I didn't have a lot.
I didn't have a tearjerker.
I didn't have any.
Yeah.
All right. Nobody in the class wanted to be my Valentine. Now, was I hurt? Yeah. But I tell you what it did. Okay. It made me motivated next year, third grade, to come back and go, all right, time to start collecting Valentines. So I worked on myself to, put myself in a different category. Maybe I got a different hairstyle. Maybe I got a different shirt, or came to school dressed differently. And I got 3 Valentines when I was in third grade. Now, the culture we're living in today, and I don't even know if you know about this, but at Valentine's Day, you got to give everybody a Valentine. Everybody's a be mine. And I don't even know if it's be mine anymore. The ones we have here is it's good, MVP, all-star.
I only have fries for you. That's cute.
Yeah, there's nothing in here that would emote I like you.
Yeah.
Back in the day was be mine.
Right.
And I don't know, it was just like kind of like harmless fun.
Right.
And now we've kind of taken the fun out of Valentine's Day by giving generic, donut, you just love Valentine. Come on.
You can't
even read the damn thing.
No, but the perception, didn't you, if you you never got the classroom full of Valentines, but the one person you were most interested in, if she put a little heart or 2 hearts, you were like, oh yeah, that was more special. She may have done it for everybody, but it's in your head. You were thinking like that was extra special, because I think you talked about like crushes. I think it starts early. I think, when you're handing out these Valentines, there are a couple people that you're really interested in getting it from. But again, it's sort of their perception of a boyfriend or girlfriend or a significant other is very different than an adult's perception, right? They don't have the same things in their mind. It may just be, I like hanging out with that person. I like sitting next to them. I like holding their hand. It's not, we're not talking sexual activity, I would hope, at kindergarten.
No, but I think we've kind of watered down Valentine's Day for young kids, and now everything's very generic, very broad. You being a pediatrician, is it innocent? Is it healthy to have these like little crushes? I mean, I know Seraphina's got a little crush on a kid at school, and do I care? I mean, I act like,
no, you looked him up on
but
Google.
We did a full background check on his family. But when does that typically start in a more emotional, sexually charged way?
Well, first of all, I think it's very normal and very natural, and it is good to have these little crushes in these relationships, because it's also teaching them, different emotions that they're feeling and how it feels, and that starts discussions with their parents and things like that. So I think early on, in a non-sexual way, definitely around school age, you're seeing it when you're handing these things out. You have feelings for other boys and girls. I think as they exit elementary school, so I think that 5th and 6th grade, surprisingly, that's when puberty's starting to happen. So emotions are going wild, hormones are going wild. So then I think it gets a little more intricate, but not necessarily that a ton of things are happening. I mean, sometimes, there are sexual activities that early, which is crazy, kissing and What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, and I don't even know if you could answer this question due to the fact maybe HIPAA laws prevent you from doing so. What age is the earliest age you've seen kids having sex? Has someone come up to in your office and say, 12-year-olds having sex with another 12-year-old? What's
I think early teens.
Early teens.
Early teens. 13, 14.
What's appropriate? If you hear 13,
it's a shock to me.
You're shocked.
Because personally, maybe, and I was very late bloomer, and that just seems absolutely crazy. At 13 or 14, I didn't even know what was going on. I mean, I remember that I went to sleepaway camps still when I was 12, 13, and you go, you get that list of things to check off, your deodorant, the soap.
Yeah.
And I went with my mom to the Rite Aid, and we were checking things off, and we get to the checkout, and there's a box of condoms. And I said, "What's this, Mom?" And she's like, "Well, you never know." And I'm like, "No, I know. Like, I don't need those. Those things expired before I ever used them."
Yeah.
So I had no clue, and I think I transfer a lot of that. It seems very young, and it's also such a big emotional responsibility to handle at any age, especially as a young teenager going through puberty with all the social interactions that are going on. It's a big deal to me. It seems like a big deal.
What's appropriate? 16, 17. I lost my virginity 16, actually on Valentine's Day, 1989. All right. And her name was Karen. And
back of the Chevelle?
No, it was in her parents' basement. And even then, like, I'm looking back on, I was 16. God forbid, I slip it or whatever. And what? I'm having a kid?
Right.
At 16?
Well, I think it's not an age, it's a maturity, understanding the risks and the benefits and making sure it's safe and having, people around you, especially adults that you can talk to about it, which isn't happening a lot because they're not, people mature at different paces. I mean, when I talk, in pediatrics, we do what's called a heads exam for all teenagers. I ask the parents and the child, I say, now that you're 13 and up, I say, if it's okay with you when we're done with the exam, if we can talk one-on-one without your parents here, everything we talk about is between me and you. I don't go out and share it with your parents, even if they beg me. Best part of my job. No, but unless the only thing I have to report is if you were going to hurt yourself or somebody else. So that's the typical spiel. And it allows the parents to leave and me to talk one-on-one. And HEADS is an acronym for teenage stuff. We talk about home life. How are your relationships with your parents? What's going on in your house? E is education. What's going on with school? How are the grades? What are the courses you like? A is activities. What are you doing outside of school to keep yourself busy? D is drugs. So what are your exposures? Anybody smoking, vaping, doing drugs, friends? And then S is sex and suicide. So it allows us to touch on, and it's not like I'm going like H, but it allows us to talk about all the topics that teenagers are going through. So I have an idea, because really as a pediatrician, what you want is at least them to feel comfortable talking to an adult to get good information. And then hopefully that's their parents as well. And I've been fortunate because I've never had a case in somebody who's had significant risk factors in that discussion that I can't eventually get them to talk to their parents about or let me talk to the parents about with them. It sort of sometimes takes the load off if there are risk factors to say, hey, how about, could I mention it to your parents and we'll bring them in? And, it's a sort of like a third party. It feels better than the one-on-one where the child's just thinking they're going to get in trouble. But these are the types of things we look at. And there are 13 and 14-year-olds that I start talking, but we don't get into depth because you can just tell they're not there yet. And then there are 13 and 14-year-olds that you're like, wow, we really need to go over everything in great detail.
Well, you being our family pediatrician, if you ever bring my daughter in at 13 years old and she tells you something that I need to know, scrap the bullshit with you come right to me and you say, there's a problem, we got to take care of it.
The opinions expressed in this program are not intended as professional medical advice, as a diagnosis, as a treatment protocol, or as a substitute for professional medical advice from your physician. Please consider your own medical history and consult with your own physician for your specific healthcare and/or medical needs and about your concerns for yourself and your family.